Before we get started with today's video, I have an announcement to make. After years of telling other people's stories, I finally released one of my own. My novel Eternal Reign is available now in both ebook and paperback format for those of you who are like me and prefer to collect physical media. You can grab a copy right now on Amazon through the link in the description of this video. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. Since the last time the Warrior of Light saw Curious Gorge, he's restarted his training as a warrior so he won't lose himself to his inner beast like he did when he fought his brother. His brother, Broken Mountain, yet another Rogadan with a very unique name, has recovered from the incident, but he doesn't seem all that eager to start using his axe again. Now he spends more time studying magic and other stuff, but he still wants to spread his ancestors' teaching all across Eorzea. He recently sent Gorge a letter saying that he's found some more info about some ancient warrior techniques, so Gorge is about to go meet him at Camp Bronze Lake to find out exactly what he's found. Naturally, the Warrior of Light decides to tag along. The fact that the Warrior of Light is the only warrior known to have gained control of her inner beast made it pretty easy for Broken Mountain to remember her. He's been doing a lot of research trying to find a way to tame the beast like you did, but all he's found are better ways to use the power to kill stuff. Some of the stories that he's found are so ridiculous that he thinks they must have been made up. One story said that a guy named Mythal Heart was so strong that he ripped a behemoth's arm off with his bare hands, and that's not the most ridiculous story he's found. Regardless, Gorge wants to try and find out if Mythal Heart was actually real, since looking into it may help find a way to tame his inner beast like the Warrior of Light did. Even Wisecat doesn't think that Gorge should spend his time chasing after dead men, even though he doesn't think the guy or his feats were an exaggeration. Considering the fact that pretty much everything the Warrior of Light has done is unbelievable, Broken Mountain has to admit that the stories might be true, but he'd rather you see if you can find any proof of it, instead of having Gorge spend time doing that he should be using on his training. Since the Warrior of Light is farther along the warrior path than Gorge, and she wouldn't mind adding Mythal Heart's techniques to her arsenal, she agrees to look into the story. Since Mythal Heart's last journey took him to Silvertear Lake, it's very likely that the Sons of St. Coinoch have dug up some information about him out in Mordona, so that's where you head. There are a lot of unclaimed artifacts from all eras out in the area, and the Sons are pretty sure that you can find something about the ancient warrior out there, but since they're more focused on Allagan relics than anything else, if they did find anything about him, it might have been left laying around somewhere. So the Warrior of Light starts to browse through their dig site, and she actually finds Mythal Heart's old axe. It looks exactly like the story said it did, which is more than enough to get Gorge excited, because if the stories are true, then maybe one day he'll be strong enough to rip a behemoth apart. His brother thinks that knowledge will be the best way to show the people of Eorzea just what warriors can really do, and it might actually get more people to train with them, which was always their goal. Since it finally doesn't seem like a waste of time, Broken Mountain starts looking for more info about Mythal Heart, while Gorge goes to try and get more control of his inner beast, because learning stronger techniques will definitely bring it out. It doesn't take too much time for Broken Mountain to find some information that should push your training forward, but before you dive into it, there's something else that needs to be taken care of. A dangerous creature has been seen out in Kurthus, and Broken Mountain wants to take the Warrior of Light and Gorge out there to deal with the thing. That seems like a bit of overkill, but he has his reasons, so you tag along on the simple assignment. By the time you get there, the two brothers have already dealt with the thing, but Gorge's inner beast has taken over him during the fight. So the Warrior of Light is forced to bring him back to his senses by repeatedly hitting him with her axe. The fight causes your own inner beast to try and take over you in a way that it never has before. But the Warrior of Light doesn't go on a rampage like Gorge, she just blacks out. When she wakes up, Gorge is back to normal, but him losing control of his power was the whole reason why his brother wanted to bring the two of you out there in the first place. He wanted to see if his brother had gotten strong enough to control his power. If not, he needed you there to smack Gorge around a bit until he calmed down. Considering the fact that he was getting ready to set you both on the path of learning better ways to kill stuff, it was a good idea to see if Gorge would lose control and attack his own allies once he started fighting. Until he gets his power under control, Broken Mountain refuses to let him train in Mythal Heart's techniques. Gorge isn't exactly happy about that, but it makes sense, and hopefully while you and Broken Mountain are learning more about Mythal Heart, he can find out why you can control your inner beast so easily while they can't. Even though he can't train with you, Curious Gorge decides to go and fight with the Maelstrom against the kobolds who keep attacking, but Wisecat sent a message saying that Gorge seems to be holding himself back instead of pushing himself and trying to master his powers. Broken Mountain thinks that seeing you show up with new techniques will help Gorge get his fighting spirit back, so he sends you out to test yourself against some creatures that Mythal Heart had hunted out in Abalanthia's spine. Apparently they have some grizzly bears out there that get as big as behemoths. Once you finish ticking off PETA by murdering a not quite defenseless animal, you head back to Broken Mountain to find out what your next task is. Both Wisecat and Gorge are there telling him about how the Maelstrom made the kobolds retreat, which should keep them from attacking for a while. Gorge tries to act like his usual upbeat self before he heads back off the train, but Wisecat had got reports from people who had fought beside the warrior, and they said that he seemed nervous the entire time. They thought he was scared of the kobolds, but he was still afraid of losing control of himself. As long as he's scared of himself, he'll never become a better warrior, and they need him to become better for more than just himself. The kobolds are getting more aggressive with their attacks, and the Maelstrom is spread too thin to contain them, so they're looking for new ways to add to their strength. A few squads trained in the warrior arts will do that, but not if they all end up with the same issue as Gorge. Broken Mountain studies show that fighting strong opponents brings out the warrior's inner beast, which is the easy part of all of this, but that doesn't help with the whole not murdering your friends part of it. He still has more books to go through though, so he hopes that he can find something in them that'll help. While he's doing his research, Wisecat comes to the Warrior of Light asking for help, because people always seem to need her for something. The Beast Tribe attacks are coming more frequently, and the Maelstrom needs some skilled fighters to help out. Since there are very few fighters of the Warrior of Light's level, naturally they would ask her to help. Gorge has already been helping fight the kobolds, but the Sahagin have been stepping up their attacks too. Since working for free is one of the Warrior of Light's favorite things to do, she heads to Elport to join in the fighting. The Serpent Reavers, pirates who work for the Sahagin, are trying to take over the Isles of Umbra, so they can have a good spot to launch an all-out attack on Elport. That would be bad, so members of the Maelstrom are heading out there to deal with them, and the Warrior of Light joins them to help put down the evil pirates. Once you've successfully completed that mission and made it back to Elport, the Maelstrom soldiers are not too proud to admit that they would have died if you weren't there, but they do want to know what pushes you to fight as hard as you do. When they hear that the Warrior of Light focuses more on keeping her allies safe than she does on killing the enemy, they start to think that their method of fighting just to be stronger than their opponent may not be the best way to really get stronger. Since that little side quest is done, the Warrior of Light heads back to Broken Mountain to tell him about the fight. After hearing about it, he starts to think that he understands the secret of controlling the warrior's inner beast, which he thinks will help Gorge, because he got hurt in the last fight with the kobolds and he's not exactly in the best mental state. Talking to you might help, so you go to check on him since he's been ordered to rest until his wounds fully heal. The kobolds had used some new type of bomb, and to save his comrades, Gorge had thrown himself on top of it. He should have died from the explosion, but him focusing on saving people instead of fighting let him draw out the full power of his inner beast, which made him strong enough to take the hit without taking all that much damage. That one action may have finally shown him the secret to controlling his powers. They still need to test it and see if focusing on protecting an ally instead of killing someone else is the key, since Gorge is still worried about losing control if they're wrong. The battle with the Beast Tribes is still going, and the Maelstrom still wants more help. The kobolds have been making a lot more of their bombs, and they plan on attacking Camp Bronzeleg itself, which is bad since there are quite a few people there. The Maelstrom wants to stop the bombs before they make it to the camp, and they want the Warrior of Light and Gorge to make sure the mission is successful. Gorge is still worried about losing control, but after the Warrior of Light tells him to stop whining and go do his job, he joins in and helps stop the attack without going on a rampage. He starts to think that he really has gotten a handle on the beast, but he won't know for sure until he tests himself in another battle. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, he won't have to wait long to test himself again. The Sahagin have used the fact that everyone was distracted by the kobolds' attack to attack the tide gates, and the Maelstrom doesn't have any troops to send to defend them. Broken Mountain is sure that if people using the warrior arts manage to fend off this attack, then the world's view of their people will change for the better. And this time he's not going to sit back and let his brother fight alone. He's not going to pick up an axe again, but he does have other ways to help out. Since things are a bit desperate, Wisecat's going to join in the fight too, and even the Admiral's right-hand man, Mistbeard himself, decides to join you all, just so he can see the strength of the warriors with his own eyes. During the fighting, Gorge proves that he actually can finally control his powers, and since the warriors proved to be a serious force to be reckoned with, Mistbeard offers Curious Gorge and his brother a position with the Maelstrom, training more people in the way of the warrior, which is exactly what they've been hoping for this whole time. This concludes the Heavensward portion of the warrior story. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, comment, share it, and subscribe. Grab a copy of my novel on your way out, and I'll see you all next time.